I call it roll all ones. So if I just end up rolling one pin every single time that I try. So we create a new object. All right, now, so we say if I did 20 tries, now you're assuming that if we only just knock down one each time. All right, now what comes next? Okay, so now we're gonna try these two tests. So we run the whole test class. Well, as we expected, one passes, another one doesn't. So it tells us that it expected 20, but it got 0. What do we do now? How do we make sure that the first one gets 0 and the second one gets 20? Okay, we go to this class. So first we have a new variable called score, because we want to keep track of the score with an initial value of 0. Then, so in each roll, we say score plus equals pins. So whatever I send to my roll function means that in each trial how many pins I knock down, and it will be added to the score. And how about here? What do I do here? You return score, because now the score, the variable score, is how we're keeping track of the score of the game. Okay, now we can go back here and try again. All right, so now we have two tests that are passing. So that's good news. Now let's add some more functionalities to our tests. Now that we have two passing tests, let's refactor these test cases. So here we go. So let's start with the variable. What goes here? What goes after this? Now we define our bowling game here, so we don't need this part. Same here. And we're going to come back and fix those. So yeah, to do the initial setup before running each of the tests, we do it before each. So one thing that we want to do is to initialize the bowling game. So bowling game equals new bowling game. Now that we have this, this happens before running each of the tests. So I don't need this line anymore. And I don't need this line anymore.
How come we don't just declare bowling game and then initialize them in the same line?
So that's the reason, because if you have, so you mean having this out here, right? Like doing something like this. Yeah. Right? So what happens here is that it's only initialized once. So if you make any changes to it, it's only one variable for all of these test cases. So the reason that we are using before each is that it will be a new instance every time for each of the tests. Oh, no, I don't need this. All right, this has to be lowercase. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and do more refactoring. All right, let's just check that everything is fine here. So I'm defining my variable, I'm doing the before each, and I'm not defining it in each of the tests anymore. So this is really important. After each refactoring, like whenever you moved any piece of code around, run your tests again. Make sure that everything is fine, everything is running and passing. All right, so we have 2 passing tests so far. Let's see what we're going to do next. So let's add some more examples to each of the test cases. It's better. All right, so we have 20 rounds, and I have 0 pins. What should I change in this function next? So that 20 is the number of rounds that we have, and I want to pass pins here. So I want to do the same here. And again, this is redundant, but we want to take all the steps. We're going to end up seeing some for loops or other things that we're doing inside the test class that are just copy and paste, and we don't want to have that. We want to have a method that does that for us. Well, actually, maybe this shouldn't be 0. Here, we're assuming we're doing 1. What is a problem with this code? Can you detect what the problem is in these 2 test cases? I'm going to show you something cool if you don't know it. Refactor. All right, so for roll all ones, now I'm calling the method. The same thing for other tests. All right, and this goes down here. So like one thing is just to have consistency. So I have my before each first, and then I have my old tests here. And so this is called a helper method. So the way that I'm going to organize it is that I'm going to have all my helper methods at the end, at the bottom of the class. Like that's the whole point of TDD, that like we have different methods, that when we're reading the code, it has to be like just writing a book, that like you are reading English words that tells you what's happening, and then you have definitions for them and like the structures and everything at the bottom of the class. So you're just going to accept that it is going to roll many using the number of rounds and the number of pins. And if you want to know how it does it, then you can go to the bottom of the class and see the definition of that method. But